Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. So glad you're here and you're listening to the podcast. I say it over and over and over again. I will continue to say it over and over again. I really appreciate you for listening to the podcast. And because you've been faithful listeners, you help the podcast get ranked in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, according to listennotes.com. So thank you for that. Really appreciate you. And if you would, it would help us out if you go over, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Now, today we're talking with Lisa Andria. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Lisa. She's a life coach with Ladies Who Leap Coaching. And after experiencing her own personal transformation journey, Lisa is dedicated to empowering women to go from stuck, scared, and lost to confident, powerful, and reawakened. I mean, who doesn't want that? She has a passion to help women transition to a life they are meant to be living, both personally and professionally, which is perfect for this podcast. And she's the host of her own podcast, which I was a guest on, and we're doing a swap. And her podcast is Ladies Who Leap. And she has a community of supportive women with the same title, Ladies Who Lead Club. And when she's not working, you can find Lisa watching movies, eating at great restaurants, singing in with local bands, and going out to stand up paddleboard around her area. Welcome, Lisa Andria.
Thank you, Dr. Robin. I'm going to say Robin because you're my friend.
That's
Thank you
right.
for having me on. You are an amazing person, host, and helpful to all women. So I'm really appreciative to be here.
Well, I'm so glad you're here, especially with all you have going on these days. All right, so now you heard me say, sort of your official introduction bio, but why don't you tell us in your own words first a little bit about whatever you want to say about yourself, and then second about your work.
Yes, so I spent most of my adult life in fear of doing anything new, going places that were great opportunities and putting myself out there. It was a whole life about that. And it comes from being bullied and being kind of the nerdy kid when I was younger in school and a lot of other things. And so at one point in the middle of a marriage, I woke up, sat up in bed, and thought, I've lost myself. I don't even know who I am anymore. I was the people pleaser. I was the one who did for other people. I really wanted people to like me. So I made sure that whatever they were interested in was what I was interested in, any way to make people like me and stay my friend. I really thought that being my true inner self was going to repel people. I was convinced of it. And I told my husband at the time, okay, I don't know who I am. I'm going to go through a new journey. This was mid 2000s. And I said, I really don't know if we're going to be together after that. I can't make any promises. We did both go to therapy together separately. And after another, see, about 4 or 5 years, I realized that this wasn't the marriage for me. And I got out of the marriage and I continued with my journey. It wasn't until the last 3 years or so, like 2021, where I really made some transformations for myself. And that was retiring in December of 2022, which is a huge change. Those of you that are working that hamster wheel in corporate world, America, you know that you don't make the time to learn and to heal yourself and to really think about yourself. You are just working every day, probably a lot of long hours. So even though I had become a life coach in 2019, I took 6 months off to kind of reinvent myself basically and just take a sabbatical out of that corporate world. I downgraded myself to more of a support role. I was in sales and telecom, very stressful. I downgraded a lot less money, but it made me feel better emotionally. And then I actually could retire when I reached that magic age of 59 and a half in December of 2022. And I said, okay, my goal and my passion is helping other women not live so many years in fear, not knowing themselves, not spending the time on themselves. So that's when I started the permanent Ladies Who Leap, January of 2023. And then February, end of February, I got hit with breast cancer. So, yep. So I said, you know what? This is just going to be a blip in my life. I thought of the phrase believe to succeed. So I believed that there was going to be very successful operation with the mastectomy. And it was just going to be something that I had to overcome. And it was going to be easy and it wasn't going to be difficult. And that's exactly what it was. Mind over body. Your mind has a lot of control over your body. And so that's where I started to learn about that. I broke off a 12-year relationship. So there was kind of three things that happened, but I'll tell everyone on this call, some of the most difficult things you'll go through is where you find growth. And it is exactly what happened to me. I really grew during that year of 2023 that was very difficult. And then started with such, at the end of 2023, such excitement and energy, good energy into 2024. And so I've been really amped this year. I went away to Italy for 20 days in May, and enjoyed that whole month from southern Italy and then up to, the middle part of Italy, and explored my home country because I am 100% Italian, and really enjoyed myself and spent time with cousins that I don't get to see that often. So it's been just a fantastic journey, and I've gone through some additional training. So I am dedicated to helping women really improve their lives and focus and learn more about themselves.
Yes. Yeah. And that is clear. Your commitment and your passion comes through even as you're talking about your journey. And good for you for the way things have turned out for you. All right. So let's talk about Ladies Who Leap. That's a very interesting title. So I'm guessing there's some thinking behind that. There's some concept, or just tell us what the thinking is around the title, Ladies Who Leap.
Well, I've always loved that saying, leaping out of your comfort zone is where the magic happens. That was something that was really resonated with me because, look, I spent most of my life, like I said, not feeling confident and not being able to get over the fear of leaping out of my comfort zone. I can name so many things, including wanting to go to college for and become a journalist and a broadcaster. That was something I wanted to do. And I didn't do it because I was fearful I would be a nerd again. So I had just come out of being a nerd, and going back to college was going to, in my mind, was what was going to happen. So I thought, okay, leaping out of your comfort zone. So I thought, let me just have this woman leaping. And then I have a circle because you're out leaping out of your comfort zone. That's my logo. And then butterflies, because that is transformation, right? You're reinventing yourself. And that's what the butterfly signifies. And then I changed the quote a little bit. And I said, leaping out of your comfort zone is where the growth happens. So
Mm,
a lot of the work that I do with women is saying that being uncomfortable, you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because when you're leaping, it's a lot of times it's not very comfortable. And so as a coach, I'm helping them. There's several methods and things that I use, but basically I'm helping them leap out of their comfort zone to something, either a dream, a new job, a new place you're living, a new way of looking at relationships, whatever it is, I'm helping them leap out of that comfort zone with confidence.
yes. And is there, and you talked about this some when you shared with us your background and how you got to where you are now. What would you say, anywhere in your journey, whether you mentioned this part of your journey or not, in your professional life, what's a big leap that you took that really took you out of your comfort zone and then you ended up in a place that was better for you? Tell us about one of your own ladies who leap moves.
So I actually worked for a very large telecom company for 33 years. And at some point, they offered a lump sum buyout. And I said, look, I'm 51. I have to continue working. I haven't gone for a new job in 33 years. So I leaped and I did retire. And I said, you know what? I can get a new job. I know I can get a new job. And within a month, I had another job. And it was actually the most fun in a job I ever had. It was for about 3 years, and I left for certain reasons. But I was on a team that handled NBC, and I loved TV. That was my favorite station. And so I got to travel and be behind the scenes in their stations, help them with their network. I also handled both of the Universal Studios here in LA and the one in Orlando. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And had I not thought that I could do it, I would have spent another 8 years in the same job because my uh, financial advisor said, if you were to stay in that job, it would take you, you would have another 8 years before you could make up for the money that they're giving you. I was like, no, I am not doing that. Now, I ended up working in telecom 41 years when everything was said and done, but that was a leap of faith in myself. And I took,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good for you. Now, was there something that you felt really helped you? I know you just mentioned the financial piece, but was there something that really took you over the edge that propelled you to take the leap that
Well,
you could
I
recall?
have to admit something. My ex-husband, he worked for the same company and he sent me a message. He said, this would be perfect for you. And I was like, he goes, you're 51. You can have another career. And that made me think, yeah, I can. And then there was enough of a part of me that had the confidence to know I am really great at presenting myself, even, what I can do, how I speak, interviews. I knew that I had that ability. And because I had gone on interviews to become into second level management over that course of the 31 years. And so I said, I can do this. So it was belief in myself. That was a huge leap for me. And it was a way to reinforce the fact that I believed in my own abilities. And that's a big deal.
It is, and I love that you had that belief and you look back at you knew you had some strengths, some gifts. You were aware of it and you said, "Okay, I know I have this. These worked in the past, they'll work for me now." And you had that belief and you took that leap. That's fantastic. All right. So now do you think, this podcast is leadership purpose? My work is really helping people find more meaning and purpose in their work, but also in their life. But I stay in the realm of work because it's more manageable for me. All right. So now, with that in mind, do you think it's important for people to have purpose for you to have purpose in your life and or for other people to have purpose in their life and work?
Yeah. So everyone should understand, and I do have a way actually to tap into your unconscious mind to find what your values are, right? It's super important to understand what your values are. And from your values, that's a good starting point to figure out what your purpose is. What is your unique, because we're all unique, what are your unique values? And then you take the step of looking at, okay, what did I do as a child? Or what did I do when I was younger that the time just passed really quickly? Or when teachers said, you do that really well. You should consider of going into whatever this field or that field. And that to me is a way of tapping into your unique self. I have
Yeah.
other methods about learning about yourself. I think it's really important to allow yourself to dream. That's where your purpose and your passion. I mean, let's put it this way. Some people have horrible events that happen in their life. And from those horrible events, they find their purpose because they want to help other people to overcome it and the way that they did. And that's wonderful. And I commend those folks because they're turning something negative into something positive and having a higher purpose. Some of us are very fortunate when we haven't had those extremely bad events and we just really want to understand what our purpose is. Because when you do something with purpose and passion, you love what you do and you never have to stop doing it. I was talking to my financial advisor yesterday, actually, and she said, well, I said, well, I want a little extra money. Can you give it to me, so I can travel? And she goes, well, this year you've tapped out and I want to make sure you're still young. I want to make sure you have enough money for when you get older. And I said, hey, I'm a life coach. I'm not ever going to stop this. I can continue doing this until I'm old older, I'm going to say, because I'm not going to call myself old right now, but I can do this for many, many years and it will add extra income to my life. And I can do it from my home and I enjoy it so much and I don't get drained by it. I get energized by helping women shine. So I told her, you don't have to worry about me. I'm good.
Yes, and that's a wonderful place to be.
Mhm.
All right, so now this podcast is for what I call high achieving women.
Mhm.
High achieving women, women who are responsible, ambitious in a positive way, goal oriented. Um, they're successful in their career in that there's nothing really wrong. They're not in a crisis or anything. Things are okay. Right. And people come to them in their professional lives and ask them questions. They're the ones that people just come to. They want to pick your brain or ask your advice or just come to them. Even in their personal lives, whether it's their family, friends, community, people tend to come to her and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And so she's kind of always giving support to other people. And on top of it, she's at a place in her work where she feels like, I want to make more of a contribution and have a sense of purpose in my work and really have more meaning. And so now she's thinking about, I don't know how to have meaning and purpose in my work. So that's who we're talking to. All right. So now you gave us some gold nuggets already, but from your experience, from your work, any area of your life or work, what's something specific you can give to the woman I just described to say, hey, this might help you as you are yearning for more purpose.
Yeah. So, yeah, I gave you a couple nuggets, really looking at what it is that you love to do. What do you do on the side in your free time that really lights you up? What makes you shine? When you do it, people go, oh my gosh, when you even talk about it, someone looks at you and says, wow, you really love doing that. And also seeing where, and I think I heard this from you on my podcast, but seeing where that love and that passion is in your own work currently. And then also thinking about the higher purpose. Who or what do you want to help in this world and how you can do that and contribute to that? Looking at what you do now and how you can take those skills and transfer them to how you can help others. I'll say most of the women I talk to, when they want to find a purpose or passion or change, retire and move into another phase of their life, it's about how can we help others? And understanding what strengths you have is a way to say, okay, I can transfer this and go and work or create a nonprofit or work in helping certain people, women, parents, whatever it is that's in your field and whatever you were successful at, and transfer those skills over to something that's your higher purpose, how you're going to help others. I do believe that understanding more about yourself is important. I have, I have a being profile, if you want to look it up. It's a assessment tool, and it tells you 31 aspects of how you're being. It's a health score that it gives you. It's kind of like a snapshot in time for transformation. And one of the aspects of it included in it is higher purpose. And so it's really geared for successful leaders and how to better understand how to be better leaders, whether it's in your own life or in your work. But it gives you a real insight into where there might, because none of us are perfect. We all have issues. We all have baggage and things that, is in our unconscious brain and unconscious to us. But it helps you to understand that. Between that and releasing the baggage, all of this can free you up to really understand and feel comfortable about being your true authentic self. And that's where these women can then find their higher purpose.
Yes, yes. I resonate with that, of course, because your work and my work is so aligned. I'm imagining, Lisa, you've been so generous with your time and energy, especially I know the day you're having. But before we go, how can people be in touch with you if they want to learn more, if they want to, hear more about what you're doing?
So I have a free guide to help you leap with confidence. It's called leapwithconfidence.com. So that's really helpful. And when you sign up to receive the three like short videos that are really helpful, the guide, it'll put you on my mailing list. So I'll be sending you emails and information. A couple other places. Remember, Ladies Who Leap, you can input it anywhere from my podcast, my website, my Facebook group, which is Ladies Who Leap Club. And I'm wonderful community there that I get in touch with, and we have a once a month call and talk about a specific topic. It's pretty easy. Ladies who leap. And then sometimes I like to say ladies who leap. Just fun. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing from your heart. We can feel your heart and your passion and your spirit. So thank you for being generous with your time and your energy today. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I love always talking to you, Robin. It's always a wonderful time.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, I'd love to hear your response to this episode. You can find me on social media. Send me a message and let me know your biggest takeaway. I spend most of my time at LinkedIn, but you can find me on all the major channels at Robin L. Owens, PhD, at Robin L. Owens, PhD. And if you're looking like want a resource on how to have more meaning and purpose, head on over to the podcast website, my podcast website, which is leadershippurposepodcast.com. Very original, leadershippurposepodcast.com. And until next time, this is Dr. Robin.